Have you heard about the missing Carter family? This case is all anyone can talk about, and it's honestly terrifying. A family of four just up and disappeared, and nobody knows what happened to them. Like, there's almost no evidence. It's crazy. So today I'm going to break down everything we know so far about this case. Before we jump into the video, I need to mention that I have a second channel. I post there less frequently, so I usually post videos that are a little longer, a little deeper dives. If that sounds like something you're interested in, go ahead and check it out. I would really appreciate it. And let's get into the video. In the beginning of 2025, Sarah and Ethan Carter were just normal kids living in a normal town. Their dad, James, worked as a software engineer, and their mom, Emily, was a school teacher. They seemed pretty happy. They were active members of their church. They volunteered at soup kitchens. Their neighbors say that they were kind, friendly people. They were liked by everybody in the neighborhood. They were just a typical American family living in a typical American town. That was until January of 2025 when their lives would change forever. On the night of January 15th, 2025, their house looked like any other night. The windows were covered with light, and you could hear laughter coming from inside. But what exactly happened that night is something that has investigators baffled. On the morning of January, Sarah didn't show up to school. Her teacher tried calling the school, but the call went straight to voicemail. She tried calling again later that day, and still nothing. She decided to call the family, but nobody answered. Now, this wasn't really out of the ordinary because sometimes James or Emily would pick Sarah up early for doctor's appointments or grocery shopping. But this time was different. The teacher knew something was wrong. She kept calling and nobody answered. She decided to call the police and report Sarah missing. When the police arrived at the Carter family home, they noticed that the garage door was open and a car was missing. Now, this was really odd. James and Emily both drove older Honda Civics to work, and they always left them in the driveway. When the officers knocked on the door, they noticed that it was slightly ajar. Worried that something might be wrong, they entered the home. But what they found shocked them. Inside the home was perfectly normal, almost like nobody had been gone for days, not just hours. Their breakfast sat on the table. The TV was on downstairs. Their phones were beside them in bed. It was almost like they had just stepped out for a few minutes and would be back any minute. But they never were. The police immediately launched a search party. But after hours of looking, they came up with nothing. Nobody had seen anything. No witnesses, no leads, nothing. It was like the family just vanished into thin air. In the days following the disappearance, the police released images of the Carters and asked anyone with information to contact them. But the only thing they got were theories. People claiming to have seen them on the outskirts of town. People saying they had moved away to start fresh. People saying they had joined a cult. But none of these leads panned out, and the case went cold. For months, the Carters weren't really spoken about. But then in mid-March, a man clearing out his late father's belongings found a box filled with documents, photographs, and Polaroids. He brought the box to the police, assuming that maybe his father, a retired detective, had been involved in the case and was trying to pass on evidence to the current investigators. But what he found shocked everyone. The pictures included photos of Ethan and Sarah, but they weren't recent photos. These were photos from Christmas of 2024, but the most disturbing photo of all was the last one in the box. It was a picture of James and Emily sitting in a dark room with two figures standing over them, and it seemed like they were being held against their will. The date on the photograph was January 16, 2025, a day after they disappeared. Where did these photos come from? Who took them? And where are the Carters? By now, the case had gained enough traction for people to start talking about it online. People created Instagram accounts dedicated to finding the Carters. A YouTuber made a video covering the case, and by now, the whole country was talking about the Carters. But then things took a turn. Soon after the YouTuber posted his video, he received anonymous tips that the police hadn't publicly commented on. People felt like this guy had uncovered a massive conspiracy, and the police were trying to cover it up. But as more and more people started digging into the case, they began noticing discrepancies in the story. Now, obviously, when the family first disappeared, everybody assumed that they had been kidnapped. But there was zero evidence to support that. The house showed no signs of forced entry. There were no signs of a struggle. Their belongings were left behind. Even their car was left in the driveway. Why would a kidnapping ring take all that stuff? Kidnappers usually take cell phones, wallets, cars, anything they can to make it harder to identify the victim. Also, why haven't they asked for a ransom? Usually, if someone disappears and you have evidence that they're being held against their will, they'll ask for money. But in this case, there was nothing. It was like the family just evaporated. Then there was the fact that Emily had posted a strange message on Facebook right before disappearing. The message read, "Sometimes you have to leave everything behind to start over." Now, this could mean absolutely nothing. Maybe she was just referencing a book she was reading. But it could also mean that she was planning to run away from James. There was also the fact that James and Emily have recently fought with their neighbor, Carl Hensley, about him selling drugs from his garage. James had even posted on Facebook about cleaning up the streets, which he later deleted. Perhaps whatever James had uncovered, he and his family had been targeted. Or maybe they had gotten involved in something they shouldn't have. But whatever it was, it's led to this. Over a month since the family disappeared, and their case is one of the most popular unsolved mysteries of 2025. To this day, the family has still not been found. The police are still asking for help, and people are still speculating, and who knows what else might surface. But one thing is certain, the Carter family disappearance will be talked about for years. Today, the case remains officially unsolved. Police say they are still pursuing all leads and ask anyone with information to contact them. But they've admitted that the case has hit a wall. Still, they say they believe the answers lie somewhere in Willow Creek. "We believe this case is connected to our community," says Detective Laura Bennett, lead investigator on the case. "Someone out there knows something, and I urge them to come forward." So what do you think happened to the Carter family? Do you think they're still alive? Or what could have happened to them? Let me know your thoughts down below. I personally think that they're dead, but I think James and Emily were involved in something they weren't supposed to be involved in. I think James was trying to expose something or someone, and he uncovered something he shouldn't have, putting him, Emily, Sarah, and Ethan in danger. But that's just my opinion. Let me know yours down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to keep watching, the next video I recommend is one where I covered another unsolved mystery. Truly insane. Just click the link on screen now to keep watching. Until next time, stay safe.